Hello and welcome to my December 23rd video update. I was going to talk to you today about recording and editing video on mobile devices, but I realized that there's really a little bit more to it than that, and that is the fact that I really like to record, or I like to create content, all sorts of content on my iPad mini and my iPhone. So the topic today is really about that. I'll save the video production and editing for one of my photography and technology tools episodes, because though I'm not going to replicate or duplicate the tutorials, many tutorials that there are online for the tools that I use, I do want to talk about the process that I go through and my workflow. So that might be useful to some of you who are interested in being untethered from the desktop, as it were. But as I was thinking about this last night, I realized that I do an awful lot on my iPad and on my iPhone, for that matter too. The days of being tied to a desktop computer ended with laptops, and I've never owned a desktop computer, except when I worked at work. I had one, but ever since I bought my own computer, I've always had some type of laptop. Way back to the PowerBook Mac and a Toshiba PC, and then a MacBook Pro. So I love that I can use this little iPad mini. This is the smaller version. I've got a cover on it. And carry it around with me, along with my iPhone, which I'm using to record this right now, so I can't take that out and show you, because it really is easily stuck in a bag, and I usually have a bag with me. Or if you're one who uses a man purse, or a woman who uses a purse, then it's an easy thing to carry around. You can have your whole production toolkit right with you. So they are becoming fast primary content production tools. I've never been one to be a pixel peeper when it came to photography, and one group of folks that I was associated with were aghast when I told them that I edited my images on my iPad and an iPad mini to boot, not even a regular size iPad or an iPad Pro. But I do photography as a hobby and just for my own enjoyment, and whatever enjoyment I can bring to those with whom I share images. I'm making more and more photo books to get print copies of the images that I make. And so it's important to me that the images look good, but I don't need to spend hours and hours editing, a dozen pictures. I'm not making huge copies of them, or prints of them rather, and I'm not trying to sell them. So you can do this, of course, with Android devices, tablets and phones. iPhone and iPad happen to be the tools that I have, and so that's what I have experience with. Particularly with this videoing, and this was part of the video updates, was to kind of prove this to myself, that I could record episodes using my iPhone and get decent video. And the only enhancement I guess I really made is just by adding an external mic at one time or another. I used the Rode Video Micro, which is a great little shotgun mic, and plugs into with the correct TRRS cable plug into your iPhone, and with an adapter into the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus. And then right now I'm using a Saramonic wireless, and so this is the receiver of the signal that's being sent from the sending device, the transmitter that's hooked up to my iPhone. And so I love the ease with which I can do this. And now, and then I go through the process of transferring that video from my iPhone to my iPad, only because I don't have the patience to wait for it to happen through my Apple photo stream or iCloud library. And then I edit it on a video editing piece of software or app. I was using Pinnacle, or I have been using Pinnacle Studio Pro, or Pinnacle Studio for iPad, which is now called Pinnacle Pro. And the people who developed that have released their own piece of software or app for the iPad called LumaFusion from LumaTouch. So I just got that yesterday, and we'll be experimenting with it. I'm going to go ahead and continue using Pinnacle Pro, with which I'm a little more familiar, to do this week's and maybe even next week's episode. A similar situation is with my photographs. As I said, I like to edit my photos on my iPad. I import them. If I go on a trip, such as the trip we took our granddaughter on to Baltimore, or the trip I took to Germany, when I come home, I offload those images to my laptop computer and bring them into Lightroom, the desktop version of Lightroom, Adobe Lightroom. And then I share them with Lightroom Mobile, which is an app that's on my iPad. And then I can go through those images. I have 1,000+ images from Germany. I can go through them and see which ones really are just not in focus, or they're just not worth keeping, and I can mark them for deletion, which I do then on the desktop, or not on the desktop version of Lightroom on my laptop. But I can also do some minor editing, because I try to take images or make my images in such a way that they don't require a lot of editing, but obviously sometimes you need to lighten or darken things or add a little more contrast. So I am comfortable doing that on my Lightroom mobile app on my iPad. And it really gives you a nice workflow, because then I can go back to my desktop. I can use the book module in Lightroom for the desktop, and take the images which were shot in RAW and edited on my iPad, but then those edits were applied to the RAW image back on my desktop version of Lightroom, and I can create a book and send it off right from Lightroom and get a book in a week or 10 days. And so that's really quite nice and handy and easy. I can sit in the chair while we're watching TV and go through and delete, or not delete, but mark for deletions, images, and so on. So it's a maximizing of time. I can be waiting at a store when my wife is shopping and do the same thing. And I also compose my blog posts. I have a blog at boozephotolearningcenter.com /blog, and I usually come up with the ideas on my iPad and write the bulk of the text on my iPad. And oftentimes we'll even use the app, the Squarespace app, that lets me post the blog posting right from my iPad, and include pictures and so on in it. So it really is a seamless process. And I also make the scripts for these video updates, or my ideas for these video updates, and my timeline for doing that, my production sheet, as well as the episodes for the other series that I have. So this, has really become my workstation, my little iPad and my iPhone. I can be sitting anywhere and create things. And if audio is your thing, there are apps that take care of that. I don't use, I'm not doing a podcast, so I'm not doing audio only. I'm doing audio within the video app, or within a video. But there are plenty of audio apps, on the Apple devices. The GarageBand is great, and there are a lot of other recording apps and a lot of other audio editing apps that you can use. So I hope this little discourse on what I'm doing is an inspiration to some of you who feel that you're tied to your desktop computer or your laptop, and will experiment with using mobile devices for content creation and even delivery sometimes. So thanks again for checking in. And I look forward to sharing some more ideas with you next week. And in the meantime, for those of you that celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas.